of evolution called technology, and how it will continue until the entire universe is at our fingertips. So through this interpretation, we start to see, again, back to my original message, our technology is us, is an extension of our mind, of our will, of our volition, of our agency, and of our desire to overcome our boundaries. See, our neocortex in our brain is a profound advancement in human evolution. Our neocortex allows us to imagine the future, to imagine what doesn't exist yet, and then pull the present forward to meet that possibility. Dubai is a fantastic example of this. Conceived in the mind and brought into existence. David Deutsch, in his book, The Beginning of Infinity, says that if you look at the physical topography of a major city, be it New York or Dubai, that's a physical topography where the forces of mind and intention have trumped geology. So that mind over matter is now a reality. Terence McKenna says that human beings take matter of low organization, it goes through the filters of the mind, and it comes out as an Emirates A380. It comes out as a smartphone. It comes out as biotechnology and nanotechnology. Again, we're dealing with atoms, guys. Everything we make is made of atoms, which means it's still part of the physical, natural world. We just reorganize things. That's what the mind does. And out comes more complexity and more organization. We repattern the world. The man-made condensation of human imagination. And this next video is about how nature and tech, again, are one. Please show the next video, patterns.
You know, there's a mind-expanding idea that smashes the false duality between nature and technology. The realization that nature and technology are one and the same, a continuum, smack in the middle between the born and the made, is summed up in the lines, to understand is to perceive patterns. That moment when dots connect, you see the gestalt, long view, and you see the big picture. This notion of patterns, for example, Paul Stamets has written about the mycelial archetype and how the information sharing systems that comprise the internet, a man-made system, mirror the neurons in our brain, a natural system, which in turn mirror computer models of dark matter in the universe. They all share the exact same intermingled filamental structure. It's unbelievable. Or for example, the fact that forager ants, when they hunt for food, their patterns of hunting mirror the TCP/IP protocols and flow of traffic on the internet. Same patterns. Jeffrey West from the Santa Fe Institute tells us that cities are actually like organisms. They have metabolic rates, and that alleys are like capillaries. Fly an airplane, look at a city from the sky. It looks like a motherboard. It looks like a microchip. Information arranged, evolution, life, sentience, mind. To understand is to perceive these patterns. There is no duality between nature and technology. It is all one and the same.
So, thanks guys. You guys are awesome. So, this is profound knowledge. This is the kind of knowledge that, for me, provided an ontological transformation. It means it transformed how I see the world. My understanding of exponential change, my understanding that technology is an extension of our minds and our creativity, that technology is creativity. That's what technology is. Technology is human creativity in the world. This changed my perspective on things. And then I said to myself, so what's it all for? Because, you know, you can spend hours talking about how magnificent this is, but how are we going to use it for social impact? That's where it really gets exciting. How are we going to make this a better world? How are we going to make ourselves a happier species and all the other species on the planet as well? And people say, well, I think it's very important to tap into your passion, right? That each of us can impact the world in a positive way. Figure out what you want to do, how you're going to use these tools to impact the world in a positive way. How do we get our young people, as we start to disrupt education, which again we heard yesterday Mr. Wagner talk about. You know, education was designed 100 years ago. It needs to be upgraded. Look, every time I download new versions of my apps on my phone every 2 days, there's always fixes, and there's like, download the latest version. We need to be doing that for everything. What's the new approach to education? What do the neuroscientists tell us about learning that we need to apply to the classroom? Because now we've tapped into the four forces of learning and creativity: psychology, technology, neurobiology, and pharmacology. We can look underneath the hood of our brain. We have the technology to learn what's going on in there and address the insights to make our systems better, to make education better, to create better feedback loops, to make better people. There was a magnificent article in New York Magazine called "The Psychological Impact of Boring Buildings," where cognitive psychologists were talking about how bad design is actually bad for your health. Badly designed buildings, badly designed offices can make human beings depressed. There's a certain kind of sweet spot for stimuli that we require for learning, or even just for our baseline. And if we don't give people that, people become bored. If they're bored, they become depressed. If they become depressed, it translates in inflammatory effects on our body. So it's actually unhealthy to dwell in badly designed structures. So how can we borrow insights from that for the design of our cities and boulevards and office complexes, if we know there's a profound psychological impact of design and of architecture? This is insightful stuff. And again, for education, for how we learn. So people often ask me, okay, I get very excited about this stuff, but maybe I don't know what I'm passionate about. I don't know exactly where I should start. And I totally understand this. Not everybody knows what their passion in life is, but maybe they know what they're curious about, at the very least, right? So there was a magnificent article written in Forbes by a very good friend of mine. His name is Stephen Kotler. He's a best-selling author. He co-wrote the book Abundance with Peter Diamandis. And the article was titled How to Find Your Passion. And I thought, wow, they finally figured it out. And actually, he has a very good formula for those that are wondering, how do you find your passion in the face of so many things to be curious about, so much knowledge to be learned, right? And he says the first thing you want to do is make a list of 10 or more things that you're curious about. Maybe you don't know what your one passion is, but certainly you know what you're curious about. You know, I'm curious about biotech, and I'm curious about human happiness, and I'm curious about math, you know, whatever. Make a list of 10 or more things you're curious about. And then look at your list and see if you can find where 2 or more, maybe 2 or 3 of those 15 things you're curious about, where they overlap. You know, maybe you have a list of 15, but 3 of them actually overlap. And when those things you're curious about overlap, that's the sweet spot, because that means there's neurobiology happening there. There's dopamine, which is the neurotransmitter in the brain associated with seeking and learning. 3 or more things you're curious about are going to generate a lot of mental activity. So you should be like, whoa, we need to build a curriculum, we need to build a life around those 3 or more things you're curious about overlapping, because that's the pathway to your passion. And then what do you do with that? Well, then you make a list of 10 things in the world that can be served by your passion. Right? So curiosity leads to passion. And then you find a need in the world that can be served by your passion, so then your passion turns into purpose. Easy formula. Curiosity, passion, purpose. And then we get into the social impact. Then you get into like how each of our lives can be made more meaningful by serving humanity in a positive way. So this next video is called How to Find Your Passion. Let's show it, please. Next video, please.
So there was a wonderful article by Stephen Kotler published in Forbes about how to find your passion. It's a question we ask ourselves every single day. We've all been told that a life of passion is a life that means something, but how do we identify our passions? It's not always easy. So one of the things that Stephen Kotler breaks down is that he says that passion essentially exists in the intersection between multiple things that you're curious about. So he says the first thing you should do if you want to identify your passion is to make a list of all the things that you're curious about, all the things that you wonder about. Be as specific as you can, and then create kind of a Venn diagram
and try to figure out where the things that you're curious about, 3 or more, intersect. And that's the sweet spot. That's where there is energy. That's where there is dopamine and neurobiology. Multiple streams of curiosity intersect at a space called passion, right? And then once you've identified your passion, then you can figure out how to turn that passion into a purpose. To turn that passion into a purpose, make a list of 15 things in the world, 15 challenges you'd like to see solved. And then figure out which one of those challenges can be served by your passion. So then you see, curiosity leads to passion. Multiple streams of curiosity leads to passion. Identifying problems in the world that can be served by your passion leads to purpose. And then, my friends, you've impregnated your life with a sense of significance, with a sense of meaning. And then you can go forth, my brothers. You can go forth. I thought it was a great article. Take note, Stephen Kotler's work, Flow Genome Project, How to Find Your Passion.
Find your passion, right? So then it gets into the neuroscience of following your passion. Because again, we have now psychology, technology, neurobiology, and pharmacology. We can understand what's going on in our brains when we are connected to something larger than ourselves, with a purpose and passion that lifts our spirits, so to speak. So this led me to develop an interest in what they call states of consciousness north of happiness. What happens to the brain beyond happiness? And it turns out there's a name for these states of consciousness. They're called flow states. Now, a flow state is a state of consciousness in which you feel your best and you perform your best. So you feel great and you do great, right? And people who usually tap into passion, the most familiar ones are maybe like an athlete, and he's in the zone and he achieves the impossible. Or maybe when a jazz musician, he's like in the pocket and he's improvising and he's like coming up with the most amazing things. I'm sure that Beethoven and Mozart, when they wrote their symphonies, were in a flow state. I know that skydivers and snowboarders, they get into flow states. Writers, sometimes they say they lose themselves and they write their best work ever in a 5-hour stretch. So what's going on when we're in these flow states? What's the neuroscience of human exceptionality, human excellence? And it turns out that flow states are characterized by the following acronym. It's called STIR. STIR stands for selflessness, right? So when you're in flow, your sense of self disappears. It's like they say, you get out of your own way. Your own resistance disappears, your own inner critic disappears, and instead, risk-taking goes up, pattern recognition goes up, creativity goes up, lateral thinking goes up, and so you surprise yourself. People say it comes through you but not from you, and though it is with you, it belongs not to you. It's like you get out of your own way. So again, selflessness is the chief characteristic of flow. The other one is timelessness. Your sense of time disappears. When people are in a flow state, they might stay up 12 hours. They don't even get tired because they're so inspired. They're so in their zone. And that's when breakthroughs tend to happen. So selflessness, timelessness, effortlessness, a sense that it's just passing through you. You're connected to something larger than yourself. Effortlessness, and finally richness. A sense that what you're doing is real rich in meaning and significance. So these are the chief characteristics of flow states. Selflessness, timelessness, effortlessness, and information richness. There's an organization in Silicon Valley called the Flow Genome Project. They've worked with organizations like Deloitte and Google to try to create systems, design systems that trigger flow states in their employees, right? And what they found is 400% increases in productivity and efficiency among people that are in flow states. 400%. So you have people that achieve more, do more, feel better doing it, are intrinsically motivated, are more creative, can come up with novel solutions to problems, and achieve a 400% increase in output. This is what's made possible by flow states. So again, borrowing from these insights, injecting them into how we do our work and how we teach our kids, hugely important stuff. And I think that when we leverage these insights into technological transformation, when we leverage our passion and learning how to tap into our passion, when we leverage the power of these creative flow states that human beings can put themselves in, then we can move into the true social impact. You might remember last year that I had worked on a digital campaign for a video called Redefine Billionaire. The Because one of the things of today is that there's so many opportunities to come up with a piece of software that could change the world. Everybody wants to be like Mark Zuckerberg and become a billionaire. And I remember thinking, yeah, this is cool, but even more inspiring is something that X Prize Foundation has talked about and others, that really, the new definition of billionaire, and I absolutely love this, is a billionaire is somebody who positively touches 1 billion people. That's a true billionaire. If you can come up with an idea, if you can make a video, you can create a company, a software, an app that positively touches 1 billion people, isn't that worth striving for? And some people might say, yeah, I will never achieve that, it's too much to wish for, but it's not. Because from the one takeaway I hope you've got from all these exponential technological insights is that the tools are there. The young kid in the middle of rural Africa with a smartphone has better communications technology than a US president had 25 years ago. So the supercomputer to change the world, the magic wand, the magic mirror, that you rub the magic mirror and all the world's knowledge and information is right there for you. A miracle of engineering, now in everybody's hands. So you have the tool. You tap into your passion, you tap into your flow, right? Maybe you live in a city like Dubai that celebrates innovation and thinking big, and you can do anything. You can be a billionaire, according to this new definition. So let's celebrate that idea. Please show the next video, Redefined Billionaire. Captains of Spaceship Earth. Thank you.
We live in a world of exponential technological advancements. What this literally means is that we have new construction kits for our reality, new tools with which to probe at the adjacent possible. So consider the implications, right? As Marshall McLuhan used to say, first we build the tools, and then the tools build us. We are designed by what we have designed. There are these feedback loops of mind, tool, and world that radically redefine our boundaries, that radically transform what it means to be human. To be human today is to crisscross the skies. To be human today is to create technosocial wormholes, mind-to-mind communication that overcome the limits of time and distance. And so what do? Well, we need to radically reach out to one another in ways that we haven't before. There's a great line that says empathy literally extends beyond our line of sight. In other words, if it's out of sight, it is out of mind. But if anything, these wireless communication technologies are radically extending our line of sight. They're providing the ontological maps of the real. They're giving us the astronaut overview effect. We are seeing the big picture. We are seeing that we are captains of Spaceship Earth. And what shall we do? We need to extend our hands to one another. We've never had such tools to overcome all of the limitations of our humanity. We have the power, we have the will, we have the capacity, the creative capacity to overcome our limits. And so today, billions of us linking to one another, creating a global node, a global brain. What is the new definition of billionaire? The new definition of billionaire is he who will positively affect the lives of 1 billion people. He or she will reach out and say, I will positively affect the lives of 1 billion people. This should be our goal. This is our responsibility. Here's our chance.
Here's our chance, right? Love being a billionaire. So, I call my videos shots of awe. And awe is a word that you can use interchangeably with wonder, or with really intense curiosity. Maybe the child who first looks through a microscope and he sees that universe in a grain of sand, or heaven in a wild flower, or holding infinity in the palm of your hand, or eternity in an hour, as Blake wrote. So that sense of awe, that experience of such perceptual expansion, that you have to remake your mental maps of the world in order to make sense of the experience, like staring at the universe through a telescope for the first time. That curiosity, that awe, also has really positive neuroscientific impact and benefits. And it turns out that experiences of awe and intense curiosity fuel our thirst for knowledge. They increase our creativity, they increase our empathy, so our sense of connection with our fellow human beings. They increase our compassion. So in addition to being the fuel for the thirst for knowledge, these experiences of wonder and awe also make us nicer people, and they reduce inflammation, right? They release a cocktail of chemicals in our brains that act as anti-inflammatory in our bodies. So blowing our own minds once in a while is actually really, really healthy. That's why whenever I visit Dubai, I like to go to the Burj Khalifa, because I experience such awe when I stare at that building. I mean, it's incredible. That feeling is good for our souls. So that's why I call my videos Shots of Awe. That's where the science comes from. So to kind of recap what we talked about today, we're here at the Knowledge Summit, right? We're looking at all these rapid changes. So innovation, creativity, and technology, yes, we get it. It's changing fast. Sometimes it's scary, but the attitude should be, yes, we can leverage these tools to make a positive impact on the world. The response to rapid technological change is not fear. It should be forums and conversations about how we can use these tools to make this a better world. Tech. And we've got passion, right? And we've got creative flow states and designing spaces and places for people to tap into their zone so they can achieve more knowledge. And then, of course, we have awe, curiosity, and social impact. And redefine the term billionaire. We can all be billionaires and impact the world in a positive way. So, to me, this conference is a celebration of adventure of the mind, adventures of the mind and body, adventure, science, and exploration, the human desire to explore. And these are the hallmarks of the organization I work with. National Geographic is a brand that stands for these principles of adventure, science, and exploration. And I'm doing a new television series with National Geographic called Origins, the history of mankind, the journey of mankind. And Origins will be an 8-episode series about knowledge and about the acquisition of knowledge that changed humanity. The origins of tool making, the origins of transportation, from the wheel to the Airbus A380, okay? The origins of what has made us human. And that show should premiere next March on National Geographic. So in closing, and before we open the Q&A, I want to show you a final video on this overarching theme of adventure, science, and exploration. Because, my friends, a sense of adventure should be our guiding light. A sense of adventure should be our North Star. And so I'll leave you with this video, and I want to thank you for hosting me again. I love visiting Dubai. And please, let's show the next video, Adventure, Science, and Exploration.
What does it mean to explore? What does it mean to adventure? Walker Percy wrote, "The search is what anyone would undertake if he were not sunk in the everydayness of his own life. To be aware of the possibility of the search is to be onto something. Not to be onto something is to be in despair. The search, you see, is existential. Exploration, science, and adventure is how we search, not just for answers, but for better questions. It's how we rage against the darkness, how we battle against ignorance, make inroads against dogma. Exploration is how we map the world. Science is how we come to understand it. Adventure is how we come alive. These are our tools against meaninglessness. Adventure, science, and exploration put men on the moon, built marvelous jetliners, immersed us in virtual realities, and helps us make sense of the world. Technological marvels extend our imaginative capacities and help us overcome all of our limits. As the poet Yeats wrote, the world is full of magic things, patiently waiting for our senses to grow sharper. And grown sharper they have. Through the scientific process, we've expanded our minds by building instruments such as microscopes and telescopes that pierce the micro and the macro, engorging our perspectives, and in doing so, blasting new tunnels between the mind and the other. We satiate our curiosities by getting outside ourselves, beside ourselves, creating cognitive appendages and new toolkits for the mind, taking us to spaces and places beyond mind, world, and wonderment. Adventure is about expanding our minds. The outer journey is the inner journey. We seek to expand the boundaries of our humanness, the repository of our knowledge, to become more than what we are. And as poet author Maria Benjamin wrote, what the space age has been seeking all along was not so much an expansion of physical space as an expansion of mind. When we dream of space, she wrote, we dream of transcendence. We dream of what we might become.
Thank you so much, guys. Great to be here with you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. So I believe there's a Q&A if there's some time left, so happy to answer any questions. I'm sure that they'll give you mics or something.